This is my favorite time of year because this is the time of year when, as much as I'm into books, this is the time where you really share books. You know, it's that gift-giving time, I think, which could be any time of the year, but we're coming up to the big holidays. So I got a perfect one for you. Eric Ribbins joins us. He's written a couple of books, actually, but we're going to talk about this one first. And this book is one that really pulls you in, and it's great to read to kids. And I would say, and I could read it and get a few chuckles, I have to say, too. Farmer Dirk and the Little Green Duck. Eric, thank you so much for joining us on Author's Corner.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So you and I had this great off-air conversation, and you said, you know, part of what led to this book in a way was that you remember when your daughter was 8 and it was Daddy, Daddy, tell me a story. And so you have to pull those rabbits out of your hat, and you pulled a few of them, right?
Yes, exactly. My younger daughter was 8 years old, and she always asked for a story at night, and I would say, well, 6 cows lined up outside the little barn. And then I think, where do I go from here? Got to think of something.
And think of something you did now all these years later, and you come up with Farmer Dirk and the Little Green Duck, like I said. And it is a charming, it's been described as this, and it really is a charming story about this small family farm. So where did the small family farm concept come from for you?
Well, certainly partially from my childhood. My parents bought 75 acres of land when I was a young teenager, and eventually we had quite a number of different animals, including, for a while, the largest sheep herd in the county.
Wow.
So these stories are half my imaginations and half my memories.
Yeah, this is interesting, too. Timing for you as a teenager. Boy, farm work can be tough. Do they have you out there working the farm?
I was not always happy about that. It's like, let's see here, Dad. I want to go have fun and play, and you're telling me I have to do chores?
Oh, yeah. Sheep are fun to pet, but then when you have to herd them and do all the other things, it's a little bit different. There's no question about that. So tell us about the story. If someone buys this and they want to send it to other people or get it for their grandkids or their children or whatever, tell us about the story of Farmer Dirk.
Okay. First of all, this book is a series of 20-some short stories. Each story can stand alone, but collectively they tell a somewhat romanticized version of a small family farm, maybe back around the 1960s. The stories are not particularly what I would call children's stories, but they are really good for reading to or with children. And I have had people tell me that they had so much fun reading to their kids that now they're going to turn around and read it to their parents.
Yeah, that's why I said that. I said really anyone could read it, but it is I like the way you described that. It's good to read to children. You know, with this book, it's interesting because something that we didn't talk about, boy, your dad was an interesting person. He is a retired librarian too as well. So you've always been surrounded by books.
Yes, I can remember my dad coming home with a whole grocery bag of books and saying, here, read this book. When you read this book, you're going to sneak around the house writing notes about people, Harriet the Spy, or whatever.
That's so interesting. And here you are, and you write the book. So what was the reaction for this particular book? What was the reaction from your family?
Well, I actually was kind of unsure about how to tell people about it. My father is a very private person, and he told me that he really did not want to be involved with reading or critiquing or whatever a book, and he finally agreed to do it, and he said that I was the only one of his children that he would trust to be able to listen to what he was saying. It's a little dangerous, I guess I would say, because this is a very intimate book. It exposes me.
Right.
And so for you to tell me that you don't like this book is also, in a kind of a convoluted way, telling me that you don't like part of who I am.
Right. Yeah.
Fortunately, just about everyone loves it.
That was the punchline. Everyone loves it. So it was okay. So you said, okay, I'm gonna take the chance. I'm gonna tell everyone about it, and then they love it. And you can get this on Amazon. Farmer Dirk and the Little Green Duck. It's in paperback. It's perfect to give to people, as I said, for all those other reasons. And then you also have another book that is completely different from that one, and I feel like we should touch on that because it's called Eddies of His Breath, Contemplations of the Word, which couldn't be more different from this other book. And when you and I were talking about what this is about, the meat of this, I thought it was fascinating how you looked at stories in the Bible. And I don't know how to put this. You sort of take us in a different direction. What's kind of the rest of what maybe happened here? Or here's what happened, with Eve. Tell us about that.
I'm a lifelong Christian. And I also have a pretty active imagination. I live inside my own head a lot. Excuse my voice. What I did with this book, a series of about 40 stories in which I began with a Bible story and then tried to imagine a more complete story, expansion around it, always sticking as close as possible to the original Bible thing. I'm not trying to push any particular theology or whatever, but for example, you meet Tabitha as a kind of a comfortable, middle-aged busybody who is cheerfully telling a visitor that her legacy is going to be bad sermons.
Yeah. You meet Tabitha, and then you also meet, because I said this in the beginning, so you have to give us the payoff of this. Eve, tell us about Eve.
Eve is a very important story. In Eve, I tell the story of creation and of their terrible sin and getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden. We meet Eve as an old, frail person remembering and regretting that she never said she was sorry.
Yeah. Wow, I just can envision that in my head. I'm just you painted a picture of that. So interesting. And that's really what it is. As you said, it's these short stories. What do you hope people take away from reading this book?
I hope that people find themselves wondering and thinking and maybe approaching some aspects of their faith in a deeper or different way.
Yeah, that sums it up. And again, this book is called Eddies of His Breath, Contemplations of the Word. And the other book that we talked about, you get that on Amazon, Farmer Dirk and the Little Green Duck. And here's the thing for people listening. You're a retired botany professor. Wow. And we talked about the farm and growing up, and you're the oldest of 8 children. What an interesting life you've led. I feel like I need to ask you about the botany part of this. Like, well, wait, I was, a teenager. We had 75 acres, and then I went into botany. Was some of that fueled by curiosity? I mean, what led you in that direction?
My botany, actually, all my life I've been interested in bugs. I blew my first attempt at college. When I went back to college, my first class was a botany class, and I discovered that plants were fascinating. I can remember coming home and telling my wife that I've decided I was going to study the plants and then the animals. And I guess I'm a slow learner because I never got done with the plants.
So you stuck there, and then that was it. And was it fun teaching those? Was it fun teaching those classes and being a professor ultimately?
Oh, yes. Fun, terrible, challenging, frustrating, immense satisfaction. It is such a joy to be able to help people grow to the point where you are obsolete.
No, I like
and
that.
It is incredibly frustrating when they don't want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so teaching them and letting them move from there. Well, you were a delight to talk to. And again, both of these books, you can get them on Amazon. Eric Ribbens, thanks so much for coming on the show.
And let me say to your listeners, if you read the book, send me an email and tell me what you think. I want to hear.
There you go. And you can go to the website, ericribbens.com. Thanks, Eric.
My pleasure.